Welcome to the reading of Duplicity and Duress, Snap Factories in the Making by Erin, my pseudonym. I'll be reading from chapter 14 of my book, and I'll start off with a quote from another book, or a small little excerpt from another book, and then I'll begin the chapter, and the chapter is entitled Tulsa's Grasshoppers and the Toilet Seat Ring. There are individuals whose road through life is strewn with people they have wounded or irreparably damaged. This doesn't prevent them from fooling most people and from seeming to be totally adjusted social beings. And that is from Stalking the Soul by Marie France Hirigoyen. Tulsa's Grasshoppers and the Toilet Seat Ring. Something invisible slashed me hard and fast on my shins as I walked from one end of my apartment to the other. It was so violent, I stumbled to the ground, curled up into a ball, and wrapped my arms around my knees. It was as if an unseen entity wanted to punish me. I don't know what it was or where it came from, but I'm pretty sure it was somehow connected to Tulsa. Tulsa manifested out of thin air, poof, just like that, swear to God. She magically appeared as a Whole Foods Market employee in the form of a cashier ringing and bagging groceries with a shimmer in her step and a twinkle in her eye. This was about 6 months after I joined the team as a fresh-eyed, bushy-tailed cashier myself. Tulsa was hard to miss, her dark hair cut short and cute, her frame stocky. She wore a short-sleeved black t-shirt and baggy blue jeans with Dr. Martens shoes. Her body movements were jerky and awkward, as if this whole Earth experience was not her style and she needed time to adjust. I guess you could say it was her shape. Her shape was, let's say cumbersome, in an attractive way. There was something about her broad shoulders and large lopsided bosom that sparked curiosity. And it was those eyes, looking just like those Katie Lang eyes, that can make any woman, no matter how cold and frigid, swoon and scream in delight. Let's face it, there aren't many people like Katie Lang out there. Like a whole bunch of angels got together in some kind of excited frenzy to create a person like that. Have you heard her bring down the house with Alleluia? Oh my word. But anyway, Tulsa. It was trouble for her moving around those registers with their sharp edges, mangled cords, and gangly mechanical parts. This Whole Foods Market employment experience was definitely not Tulsa's style, not her style at all. One of these things is not like the other, I thought to myself. I squirted a dab of antibacterial gel on my hands, began rubbing, and sang this tune under my breath. I stood behind my own conveyor belt, leaned against the paper bag bin, and I eyed her from 6 lanes down while she chatted it up with customers. She half excitedly and half with twitchy motions turned her body away from the cash drawer, asking her customer if he wanted paper and plastic. This was back in the day when Whole Foods offered plastic bags. She then reached for the plastic, smiled, laughed for a second, and in an almost punishing way, and by the looks of it, said something to make sure she didn't feel too guilty about this choice, the plastic one. If my lip-reading interpretation was accurate, she made one last comment while shaking the plastic bag open. "Just so you know, it won't be long before Whole Foods gets rid of these plastic bags altogether," she said. Knowing her the way I know her now, she probably threw in a friendly factoid about plastic bags, their effect on the environment, and how we would all have to adjust to the reality of plastic bags disappearing into obscurity, never to be seen thrashing our beautiful grounds or clogging our drains. Again. She would have done it with a charming smile, and if she had one of those photos from National Geographic or Rolling Stone, the one depicting all those plastic bags sucked up against a huge fence because of the wind, or strewn across the beautiful desert lands of Africa, clinging to the tusks of rhinoceros trying to chew his plants, she would have shown that to the customer too. That's how I prefer to remember her. Someone with a charming smile, slight awkwardness, broad shoulders, playful, flirty eyes, and infectious energy. And someone with a stance, something to believe in. Tulsa was at a West End register near the cafeteria with all its windows to let in the natural light. Moms, au pairs, strollers, baby food, and the occasional hipster hung out in the cafeteria while hooked up to their computers for the free Wi-Fi. She, Tulsa, was actually facing east, while my register faced the west from the east end of the store. I was about 6 rows away from her. This sudden and unexpected manifestation of Tulsa during a time when Whole Foods was not necessarily on its usual hiring blitz would alter my world for years to come. At the time, though, she simply piqued my natural curiosity. I had no way of knowing what kind of world in which Tulsa really belonged. Who was this new and unusual entity suddenly appearing on aisle 13? It wasn't long before Tulsa and I were assigned to work in the same bay, but at 2 separate registers back to back. Her lane faced the east side, mine faced the west. During downtimes, all cashiers were expected to stand out on the floor in front of the registers to wave people in. But this was a busy day. In the heat of the moment, our backsides bumped and scraped as we reached for bags in which to pack the groceries. Other times our bodies brushed because of one of us needing to leap to stop a rolling watermelon before it fell off the back end of the conveyor belt. It was a Sunday, notoriously the busiest day in the food market business. Lines grew monstrous and out of control, snaking all the way past cheese and toward bakery, both departments of which are on the far east end of the store closest to fish, which is tucked all the way back in the northeasternmost corner. Customers shifted their weight from left to right, managing whiny kids and sending their partners scurrying to retrieve forgotten items before getting too close to check out. Both of us swiped and scanned cabbage, leeks, turnips, and beets at breakneck speed, gloating about the price lookup numbers we'd finally memorized. Price lookup, or PLU numbers, by the way, in case you don't know, are the codes printed on the stickers you see on all produce. Typically, the code is 4 or 5 digits long. Memorizing them meant faster ring times, no dilly-dallying, or hemming and hawing to figure out the price of that organic cucumber by scanning the cheat sheet. It took forever to remember that peaches are 94044, the 9 indicating the fruit is organic. We grew so comfortable with each other that if one of us didn't know a PLU, we called out, "What's yucca root?" To which the other would reply, 94819, if it's organic, if not, drop the 9. This tactic not only saved time, but built a sense of camaraderie and support. Not to mention great relief for customers who were in a hurry, not wanting another second of time wasted trying to figure out how to ring in their food. The crowd reached a manageable, slow point, dwindling down to a few stragglers, which meant we could spend time spiffying up our registers, spraying down the conveyor belts, and restocking bags. I took the rag to my space, and when I did, Tulsa came behind me to pluck a piece of lint, or like a fuzzy thing, off the back of my shirt. The slight touch and brush of her finger grazing my back created a spark. It was more than that, though. The zing of her touch and the sense of her being right behind me, what can I say, my body responded with absolute joy and delight. "Hey," I giggled playfully, "that felt good." My cheeks blushed as I turned to catch her eyes, Katie Lang-like as they were. I leaned against the register to figure out a way to engage with her some more. She smiled. "It did." "It did?" Her grin widened and she bounced in place. "Well, that's good to know." She reached for my forearm to take careful note of a tattoo just above my wrist on the inside, then looked at me with hopeful eyes. "I want you to be my grasshopper. Will you be my grasshopper?" And with that, I'll end the chapter on Tulsa. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and or buy the book Duplicity and Duress: Nut Factories in the Making by Erin. Thank you so much.